I'm Dr. Peak at Peak Wellness Center here in Greeley, Colorado. And one of my most frustrating questions I get is, why can't I just adjust myself? Why do I need a chiropractor? And I'm going to attempt to do that today. The reason why this question is so frustrating is because in the office we don't have a visual assistant to help me explain why this is so important and why you shouldn't do it. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here today. This is a very detailed diagram done with my artistic ability that I'm going to attempt to answer this question with. This right here signifies your brain, and each of these little boxes here is indicative of one of your cervical vertebrae that's in your spine. Now, if you're a patient here at Peak Wellness Center, you understand that in between each of these vertebrae is a nerve that comes out underneath each one of these vertebrae. And these nerves go to different muscles, particularly important organs, and any time that one of them is out of alignment, you are putting pressure on one of these nerves. When you take your neck and you pull it from one side to the other, which vertebrae do you suppose you are moving? Most importantly, it's not this one. Unfortunately, what you're doing is you're moving these hypermobile ones above and below. Now, in a normal functioning spine, we'll say that these two are functioning properly. How the nervous system works is these two vertebrae are communicating with each other and to the brain. So we are getting constant feedback to the brain saying, hey, we're working just fine. And then the brain sends feedback back saying, great, keep doing what you're doing. And this is a continuous cycle. So as I'm moving my head from side to side, it's not just by magic that I know that I'm moving or that I'm upside down or I'm lying down or I'm sitting in a chair. It's because of this type of process. The brain is constantly getting feedback from your spine to know where you're at in space. It's a technique called proprioception. Now, unfortunately, when something like this happens, a thing that we call subluxation in chiropractic, this joint sends a signal up to the brain and says, hey, I'm not moving. And the brain sends a signal back and says, okay, stay there. So this nerve continues to be subluxated and it is no longer allowed to function the way that it needs to. And so as this joint continues to stay there and no longer move, what happens is these muscles that are along here start to spasm and get angry. And they stay that way and they continue to spasm and get angry and no longer allow that joint to move. And so as you're doing this to try to get yourself some relief, the joints above and below this subluxated spine are moving more so than the one in here. Now you think that you feel better because the brain then releases a series of endorphins that give you a little bit of relief. Well, over time what happens? These muscles can't continue to uphold that and continue to do that. So what happens? Over time they start to fatigue and get tired. And so they no longer send this signal back to the brain, but by then that joint has been there for so long, the body sees that as normal. And then over time what happens is we start to lay down more and more calcium in this area, creating nothing other than arthritis. So that's why a lot of times when you hear, oh, popping your own knuckles and popping your own neck is what creates arthritis. It's not where we want it, and it's not necessarily where we want the movement to take place. These joints are actually moving more so now, and this one is moving less. So in conclusion, I hope that this doesn't motivate you to avoid me in public, but rather to avoid doing your own chiropractic and send someone else to a chiropractor today. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day.